Hello everyone watching at home, you're with Adelaide Eternal bringing you our monthly tournament. This is the Vintage Challenge. I'm Sarven McLinton and in the booth next to me is Beckett Wolfe.
G'day guys.
So we have a treat for you today. It is a matchup between Michael Nguyen, who is on a Jeskai mentor deck. And I got clumsy with Jeskai because I don't use that word anymore.
Well, it's not in vintage.
It's were.
Yeah, that's it.
Something like that. And Drew Carter, who is on Esper, and it's an Esper control deck. So whose deck shall we look at first?
Let's look at old mate Drew's. So Drew is on Esper Control, and it's pretty stock standard except for the fact that he's got two sneaky things, which I really like. He's got a Mind Twist and Mana Drain sort of package, I guess.
Nice.
Would you call it a package? I got done by it when I was playing against him. So he's got one Mind Twist,
Artifact ramp,
which you don't often see. He's got a cheeky bit of extra artifact ramp for a control deck, and he's got a few extra mana drains in there. So obviously going mana drain into Mind Twist is pretty sweet.
and he likes the Thought Seizers as well.
He's got
so
Thought
that's
Seizers.
the hedge against getting comboed out, right?
That's it. And then the other thing he's got is a package for getting instants out of his sideboard and into his main board. So he's running 11 instances in the sideboard, and he's running Cunning Wish, 2 of. And he's got some sweet stuff in there like Vampiric Tutor in the sideboard, specifically so you can go end of turn 4 mana and you can just Vampiric Tutor.
Into the thing that you actually want.
That's it.
It's not an instant.
Or some powerful spells like Gush, or some sweet sideboard cards. Like if you're playing against Dredge turn 1, you can search up Ravenous Trap and actually have some game against them.
I like it. Whenever I see Drew Carter on coverage, his name is synonymous with Cunning Wish. So
Yeah,
Drew
he loves him.
Cunning Carter. Or
Drew
something like
Cunning Carter.
Something like that. And let's look at Michael Nguyen's list. So he is on this mentor list. It's basically the current incarnation of the evolution of after Gush and after Mentor and after Probe have all been restricted. So you end up seeing a lot more of the alternate win cons. So instead of getting 4 Monastery Mentors, you get some additional versions of Mentor in the form of Pyromancer, and then you get Snapcaster Mage as well for that little bit of tempo beats, as well as flashing back Ancestral Recall and Swords of Plowshares, that kind of stuff. And then it's got the good old Turbo Xerox package of a bunch of Preordains and then Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise, etc., etc. I think the best reason to be playing a mentor deck of these colours in the format currently is because your sideboard is amazing, and even in your main board you're often playing a single Fragmentize or 2 Swords to Plowshares and so on, and then you get the rest of them in the sideboard, and then you get Containment Priest as well, and sometimes Rest in Peace and so on. So basically you're just so good against Dredge, against Show and Tell, against Mud, and then you've also got the ability to tempo out control decks. So I think it's really well placed, and I guess we'll see how it goes.
I'm keen. Let's check it out.
All right, so the players are still cutting. I don't know whether... I think they might have rolled before they cut and presented, so I'm not sure who is on the play, but Drew's drawing his hand, and so it's Michael. So who do you think's favoured in this matchup?
Good question. Look, I think it all depends on whether or not Michael can land an early Pyro. Drew doesn't really have a lot to deal with it. Like, he's got Thought Seizers and Mana Drains, and they're not really well positioned against Pyro.
So this hand is Drew's Force, Jace, Swamp, Tundra. So he's got a basic Swamp in this list.
Ponder as well. Yeah, he's got a few
Michael
basics.
flashed his
Only one Swamp and 3 Islands.
Well, here it is coming
2
out.
islands.
So he basically doesn't want to lose to Shops because he might not have a great Shops matchup with the... Okay, so Thought Seize on turn 1.
That's decent. So he's got a... Oh,
Misstep.
Met by a misstep.
So you don't lose a life, instead I lose a life. So we have Lotus Petal.
I'd be interested to see. Obviously, Lotus Petal much better early. Not traditionally very good with a control deck, but because he's running
Storm ones, don't you?
but because he's running Balance and because he's running Mana Drain and Mind Twist, I think that's one reason he wants to get that Mana Drain out underneath cards like Young Pyromancer, just for that exact reason that I was talking about, and obviously power out something like a Mind Twist. And he's also running Tinker, so
Tinker.
good Tinker target.
Love it. He's got some sweet tinker targets in his deck.
He does, yeah.
But he's going to have a hard time contending with Library of Alexandria on turn 1 on the draw from Michael. And does he have a strip mine in his list?
He's got a strip mine. He's got to play a bit proactively now, though, because the chances that he hits the strip are pretty small.
Yeah. Well, he's actually up onto 4 mana on turn 2.
He doesn't have a strip, so I stand corrected. He has a library, but he has no strip.
He's got DT, so this is where he's probably going to be regretting not running a strip. I think in Vintage, I've seen almost every single deck, blue decks, running a single strip. They don't get to run Wasteland and other cards, but it's just for this one situation where you just go, well, I lose to Library.
But I've been seeing Wasteland get played more and more. I don't personally run it, but
I'm running it
I've
today.
Lost Wastelands a lot, and I'm like, this isn't supposed to be good in... So, you know, like, you don't need lands to generate mana in Vintage, so Wastelands are bad, but it just doesn't happen like that. The games slow down. And...
in this tournament, I'm running Grixis Thieves. Here's ACOL. So it was a DT for ACOL. I'm running Grixis Thieves, and I was running a single strip mine, and I had a bit of a not great matchup for shops, and I ended up going up to a Wasteland in the main and a Wasteland in the side because I just wanted to kill Dredge as well. So
that's another really good point. There's so many. I mean, I
didn't lose to Library of Alexandria at all that day. So here's the Force pitching Dak Faden on Ancestral Recall. Dak, this is an issue that I think Michael didn't draw a card off Library, but it's possible that he actually mulled. Maybe that's why he didn't draw off Library. I'm not sure.
Because as painful as it is to let someone have ACOL, if you've got the Library, you just got to accept, well, I'm probably going to draw more than 3 cards off Library if I don't force.
Yeah.
So I might as well just not force and keep up the Library. And then once I've got this just ultimate amount of cards in hand, you know, looking at to discard in the next turn, that's when you start forcing.
Yeah. So as an update, I'm almost 100% sure that Michael was on 6 cards.
Yeah, that would explain it.
So that's why he didn't draw off Library for those at home. But, you know, he is the tempo deck, so being on 6 cards and having a dead library isn't that bad because, you know, you have Gush in the deck and, here's the Lotus.
You got Lotus.
Yeah, you got... So, yeah, he's not planning to win off library. He's not trying to build up to library because he had to force the A-call. And he's just probably going to deploy a threat here. Yeah,
I mean, he's got a Jace. I think he's actually got Dak Fadens as well. Obviously, he's already pitched one. I'm trying to think what other... threats you could have. There we go. Young Peasy.
Pyro, 1 red floating. And he does have 2 main deck Pyroblasts, so it's not irrelevant to have 1 red floating here.
Can you see what's in his hand? What does that look like?
It's a wear and tear.
I thought it was wear tear, but I didn't want to say it just because I thought I haven't seen too many mainboard wear tears in Vintage.
It's very versatile as a mainboard card, but I run Fragmentize in that slot when I was running a Pyro Mentor deck. Because it's just so efficient against shops. I can see I did like wear and tear.
So here he's essentially used the wear tear. That Pearl wasn't doing a whole lot, I'll be honest. I mean, it's obviously going to do something, but it wasn't doing heaps. Yeah. So he's done it essentially to be efficient with his mana and to get an extra token
as well. Yeah, so he's empty-handed now, but he's getting a card off the Preordain, and you're totally right. Like, would you play a 2-mana spell that says destroy target land, aka Mox Pearl, and put a 1/1 into play? Yes.
Yeah,
yes, especially I'd play that spell.
Especially if you're going to lose that mana in the next phase anyway. But I totally agree. So there's not too many other targets for it. He's got a Platinum Angel, Drew, in his main board. That's a decent target.
But so tinkering for that guy.
So
that was top on Preordain. That's pretty sweet. I mean, that means he's set up pretty well then. I love these elemental tokens too.
They're sweet.
So we have Drew on his 4th mana source again. So he was obviously not in... there was no real issue with actually getting mana sources for him this game, but I still think killing the Pearl and getting a token was correct because he just got to put the beats on.
Well, that's right. At the end of the day, he could have Jace and a fetch land, and then you've given him the mana to be able to go Jace with an active fetch land. So there's one scenario, but I don't really think there's a lot for killing it as far as tempo goes against the control deck like Drew's.
Yeah.
So anyway, going back to Drew's Tinker package, he's got Blightsteel Colossus, which is a very classic list, old school. But he's also got Platinum Angel, and playing against Drew, it actually was really good. Often it saved him. and he was able to Platinum Angel to get him out of trouble. It wasn't ideal because it didn't close games.
I can see the Blight
stalled out,
being proactive, and then the Platinum Angel being like, I don't want to pass the turn and die to Storm, but this stops them from actually killing me.
Yeah, that's it.
So here's the dig through time. So that was the second card down from Preordain, and obviously also hidden by the Scry Preordain away from a Thoughtseize, because he knows that Drew runs Thoughtseize. But this is a dig through time in response to Cunning Wish, so I think this is probably going to be either finding a counterspell or a way to rebuild afterwards, after the Cunning Wish finds something nasty.
That's it.
Yeah, force pitching Jace. Jace Green's Prodigy.
And I think Gush would be a pretty decent target there for Drew.
Yeah. Get
some of those, that land heavy hand, get some of those lands back into his hand, and maybe hopefully brainstorm them away or something like that.
I mean, VT for balance is also good, so because he had enough mana.
Yeah, that's it.
For the following turn.
Yeah, he's got a little bit. I don't think Swords would have really done it.
No,
but probably Gush is where he's at. Yeah.
So he's really being beaten down. Like this is a reason why you basically here's a time walk. Always a lackluster time walk when you're not proactive. When you're going, I really wanted this card to be an answer, but it's not, and you just go time walk, go to the next turn. The Explore.
Yeah, that's it.
Explore, Urza Saga type. Untap your lands after you cast it.
Explore. It's just I don't know. It's just put time walk into the bin, right?
Cycling.
What it does.
Cycling 0, right?
Cycling 0. That's it. And maybe if you get a snap, it's more relevant.
Yeah, that's game. So this is a lesson for those who are playing Control and you play against Tempo, respecting Young Pyro as a good example. You know, Young Pyro is no mentor, but the fact is if you don't force of will the Pyro, oftentimes it provides a small army with it. And when you finally have a way to deal with a Pyro, you're going to die to, say, 2/1/1s. Sure, it's a very slow clock compared to Mentor prowess triggers, but if you don't have a way to deal with them, you don't have a way to deal with them.
That's it. I'm just looking through Drew's list. There's no real way he has. He doesn't run...
He just got a combo out, that's right.
That's it. He doesn't run Deluge or anything like that, so...
Jace bounce a token, get killed by the other tokens.
I think balance is literally it, mate, so...
Yeah, balance is... I mean, he's got a demonic shooter in there to find the balance, so... You know, and he's got the Cunning Wishes to find the VT to find the balance.
Yeah, for sure. So. Yeah, he's got Engineered Explosives. My apologies. So, going to sideboard sub, Drew is a little bit in a tricky spot just because as we've been talking about, he's got that Cunning Wish package, so he can't actually take out too many because then it makes the Cunning Wishes worse. So, what does he want to bring in against Michael here?
Yeah, so there's a couple of cards that you just want main deck anyway, which is the 2 Swords of Plowshare. So you just bring them in anyway, even though you can't Cunning Wish for them because you want to draw them naturally. You don't want to pay 4 mana to cast one. You want to pay 1 mana to cast one. And you can... I think he's going to leave the VT in the side because, I mean, you never want to bring in card disadvantage against opposing control decks. But one thing we do have to worry about as a control deck versus tempo is that when the tempo deck finds its line, it usually goes under you. That's its plan. So if you end up dying with cards in hand, which he ended up dying with cards in hand, sometimes you have to go, well, I need to keep in VT. I mean, it's not in his main, but I'm just saying in principle. You need to keep in VT because I want to be able to VT for an answer.
Take out Cunning Wish, but he can take out his wishes and put in the instance that he wants main deck is another option.
If I totally think that's quite an option, but the problem is for him, I think he feels like he is a Cunning Wish deck, so he's never going to side his Cunning Wishes out. That's what I feel. But I know that against, say, workshops, there's often times where you side out things like Merchant Scroll because they're slow. It's a 4 mana sorcery, a 2 mana sorcery, which is often taxed, so it's a 3 mana sorcery to find another 3 mana sorcery answer, like in the form of balance. Yeah, very, very slow. So I can see the rationale of siding out Cunning Wishes against things like shops and other taxing decks, but probably not here. Is my feeling.
Going to Michael, what do you think he wants to side in and side out?
So I would say there's one thing that I've been doing a lot of as a tempo deck like his, and that is bringing in Containment Priests. And even though oftentimes you end up being unable to, actually catch their Blightsteel Colossus off a Tinker, But the thing is, Containment Priest is proactive, and so you just play Containment Priest at the end of their turn, and then you start bashing for 2. It's hilarious. Like, it proactively shuts off the Blightsteel Wind, but you overload their removal because they're already trying to deal with saving their removal for Mentors and Pyros. So it's quite hilarious to bring in Containment Priest, and I think that's what he's done. But obviously you got the no-brainers, which is bringing in your Red Elemental Blast type effects.
Does Michael know that Drew's on a Tinker list as well? Is another question.
Yeah, it's possible he doesn't. So that's his hand. It was a quick flash, and there's Drew's hand, which is also a quick flash, but I think I saw an Ancestral Recall in it.
Yeah, I thought I saw a Jason, a Ponder in Drew's hand.
Okay, nice. So his hand seems to be quite balanced if he's got land, and obviously it just hinges on whether he's got a Force of Will to stop an early play. But he's on the play, so he's leading off with Mox,
nice,
and Mox and Underground Sea. So he needs to get out on board real quick here. So here's the A-Call. I mean, this is a snap mental misstep. Yeah, definitely mental misstep. How often do you run your A-Call out?
That's a good question. Look, if I've got something else, I personally run 3 Thought Seizures in my list.
Yeah. Do you wait until you can actually resolve it?
So yeah, sometimes, mate. Just because but if I didn't run the Thought Seizures, I just jam it.
Well, you know that you're against a deck with 4 mental misstep though, and you don't have a mental misstep in hand. So
yeah, look, I personally wait for Thought Seizures.
Yeah, and another rationale is to A-Call at the end of their turn, then untap and play Jace. So you wait until turn 3 to cast, or turn 2 in this case, to cast A-Call, and then untap and play Jace.
That's it. I mean, a lot of people, the main problem is with Time Walk, but a lot of people just see the power and they're like, power, now I win. It just doesn't work like that. You've got to be very balanced with your timing. The beautiful thing about A-Call is it just costs 1 mana. If you've got Castables in hand, then play Castables in hand.
Yeah, well, here's Jace. So, yeah, he actually did the play that we were talking about, which was playing Jace after you tax their resources.
Yeah, that Graph Diggers is looking pretty silly now, isn't it?
Yeah, Graph Digger's Cage, this is why, like, I understand why people bring Graph Digger's Cage in this matchup, because obviously it shuts off that Blightsteel win. It also shuts off Yawgmoth's Will and those kind of wins. But unfortunately, it's reactive, not proactive. And, even though you deploy it, and you leave it there, it's still reactive. It doesn't do anything. It's a null rod. But if you play Containment Priest, however, you got a clock. And on this board, Containment Priest bashes Jace, which is sweet.
That's a really good point.
I'm not saying he didn't already bring in Containment Priest also, but this is
why
I don't bring it in.
Drew doesn't have that many other threats besides the Tinker, which Graph Digger stops. But Jace is a good one, and Drew's also a control deck. So, at the end of the day, Drew can just go, sure, you play Graph Diggers, I'll just play the control game, I'll get some card advantage, and I'll, eventually get rid of it with my own Fragmentize or whatever, or Disenchant.
Yep.
And I'll just overwhelm you with card advantage.
Definitely. I think that's what's going to happen now with such an early Jace. However, one thing to remember is Michael does have a full hand. He's got a decent hand. So what he can do is try and find a way to pressure the Jace. If
Pyro can resolve here, then he's looking very good.
Yeah, Pyro, but he'd need to trigger it, so that would be an issue. But it does tax Jace's brainstorming ability by saying you have to bounce this guy every turn
instead of brainstorming. Yeah.
So let's see. I feel like this is going to be a young Pyro.
I hope it's going to be young Pyro.
Yeah, otherwise we probably don't have a game. if it's untap and Jason do some nasty business again.
Yeah, if it's untap in a deck that runs 3 mana drains.
Yeah. Oh, Lotus. Okay. And Jace. Wow. This is the. Oh, okay. Yeah, but Jace has already had a brainstorm, which means.
And how deflating is that?
Yeah, it's tough when he had the Pyroblast threat up. So Tinker was exiled there, so obviously the Graph Digger's Cage actually did turn off the Tinker win. So that's interesting to observe. So here's the Preordain. I mean, there's an argument to playing Preordain first, because then you get to try and find a Force of Will or something to protect the Jace, but he might not have had another blue card, and he also might not have wanted to bluff Pyroblast, which I think is totally fair there.
Well, he does run, I think it's Red Elemental Blast, actually.
Yeah. He's got 2 Pyros main and 1 Reb side. I always run all Rebs if I'm playing Mentor Pyro, because you can just target their land, so it's okay. Also, Dak Vaden can do stuff with it, but you can't do that with Reb. But I can see why people split them, because they want to have the not insignificant
surgical.
not insignificant advantage over surgical extraction. But I find that it happens. I find that basically, if you have any reason to play Pyroblast, always run Pyroblast. Like,
plus in the control matchup, if you get surgical, you're like, sure, you just lost a card out of your hand.
Yes,
I didn't lose any cards out of my hand. You lost a card out of your hand.
Yeah, it's totally fair. Also, you can Pyroblast a land and then go to your then use it to fuel Treasure Cruise Dig. So there's reasons why it's like dramatically better than the slight edge you get over extraction effects.
He's a talk, which is very nice with the Jace.
This is the opposite of the other Time Walk, right?
Yeah,
where it's like you have an active Planeswalker.
That's probably a game-winning Time Walk, I'd say.
I'd definitely say this is all wrapped up, given that Time Walk is so far ahead. But if there's any deck that could win through the Jace, it'll be like Storm and a tempo deck. So if Lotus is gone. If Lotus was still around and Michael went, Mentor Time Walk.
I mean, even with a bunch of power, I can't see how Michael gets out of it. Like he doesn't have anything else out. The Time Walk is good,
and it's going to get counted. Whatever it is,
it's going to get counted. Whatever it is, even if it's a call, it's probably still a little slow.
Yep.
Jace is
dig through time. Oh, this is over. Like, this game is so far over. Michael was just playing for information.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, like, what do you have? Like, you had a Cunning Wish, so I want to know what you brought in and what you used to have in your sideboard, and do you still have Cunning Wishes in?
It's a lot of landed Jace and a mystical
tutor, and Jace, yeah. You just take the mystical and then just mystical for not Treasure Cruise, sorry. Mystical for Acorns. Oh wow, yeah.
Could just mystical for force.
It's just like when you're mysticaling for force, you feel like, oh, I'm so far ahead. So how do I punt this game? Oh, you play a spell. It just takes mystical, mystical Jace. Often games are decided by you making the decision, how do I punt? And if you identify the line, sometimes you make these really suboptimal plays solely because you're playing around not punting, even though they don't look good.
I mean,
it doesn't look good.
No
great mystical here.
He's already time walked. He's already dig through time. There's no tinker.
Balance isn't good.
There's nothing, right? Like, pretty well. You just want to not lose.
Oh, he had a land drop, so he got to play Jace Prince Prodigy. Like, wow. Did he just take the mystical because it's a blue card for Force of Will? He draws Force. Like, that's how far ahead he is.
And there's a new. Is there a new Jace rule?
Yeah. Yep.
New Planeswalker rule?
The Planeswalker rule is in effect here. So when he flips Jace Prince Prodigy into Telepath Unbound, he's allowed to control both a Jace the Mind Sculptor and a Jace Telepath Unbound. So that's a pretty insane interaction. Vintage seemed to benefit the most out of that new rule, because specifically for blue decks running both Jaces.
Yeah, that's it. How long has that rule been in place for? So it's been a while. I haven't. It's actually
3 months, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. I've had it happen so often now. Like I've had both Planeswalkers out.
You've been playing more Magic than me, though.
I've probably been playing more Jaces than you.
You've been resolving more
Jaces.
All my Jaces are getting forced.
Or attacked by your own tokens.
That's it. Attacked by my own tokens.
Yeah. Drew faux reading the Graptiger's Cage. That feeling where you're like, I'll just read this and put you off because I might have something, but I don't. Oh, okay, so here's a dig through time.
No. I'm shaking my head here, guys. It's too little too late.
Yeah, just let the dig through time resolve, because there's no Lotus, so there's nothing you can play that's going to be threatening. So let it resolve and then go to your turn and get really far ahead. I mean, further ahead.
Yeah. Forces is not what he wants.
And now the Graptiger's Cage. This is why Graptiger's Cage is not ideal. It was good because it turned off Tinker here, but sometimes you over sideboard and you're like, I don't want to draw this Graptiger's Cage, but Containment Priests are sweet, and I saw him siding as a Containment Priest when he was shuffling, so I totally agree with that play.
Probably Containment Priest is like his best draw here, but the mini Chase actually
so weird.
Really
it just turns off Containment Priest, right?
Yeah.
-2, -0.
So relevant.
I love Jace Prince Prodigy and Vintage. It's just like, I mean, I've tried to play it in Legacy. I've tried to play it in other formats. It's good in Time Walk and Preordained. Time Walk.
Dreaming, so it's over. We're gonna see
Time Walk.
We're gonna see a big old mind twist here, mate.
Is there going to be a mind twist? Are you feeling the mind twist?
I'm feeling it. I haven't watched these games, guys. I'm just feeling
is he mystical tutoring for mind twist?
Oh, yes.
For 3 cards? The 3 cards that are in Michael's hand? Oh, no.
Pretty good.
Oh, no.
I forgot about mind twist when I was saying there's no mystical.
This is so nasty.
Tapped out as well. And after a dig, you're like, I've got a chance. I've got my 2 cards.
Oh man, this is good. Yeah, Mystical Tutor for something on top. Activate Jace Telepath Unbound. Draw the card. Discard an irrelevant card. Use the card. Then you still have Jace Prince Prodigy. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Mind Twist. Oh, he found the Mind Twist. He's twisty. Right. Did you just say he's twisty?
He's a twisty boy. Who would win? 1 dig through time or 1 twisty boy?
Mind Twist for the number of cards you get off dig through time, aka 2. Oh, and he had 1 other card in hand? Okay, all right. Yeah, read. This is a reader. I mean, like, it's because it's not played in Vintage, so, you know, when you see it, you're like, hang on, I just got to read this just to make sure it does what I remember it doing.
Yeah, is that him to Turek? No.
Yeah, no, it's not. Oh, okay. Here it is, and it's good. It's 3 cards. Yeah, 4 cards? 3 cards. I can't quite see his hand, so... Yeah, he draws that card off the JVP. Plays a land, and now it's going to be Mind Twist for Xaxes.
He was always going to hit his land drop as well, because he's got Fatty Jace to...
Fatty Jace.
Fatty Jace. Like, compared to Jace Prince Prodigy, you know, Jace the Mind Sculptor, he's a bit chubbier.
So there goes Wear and Tear, Time Walk, and Containment Priest.
And it makes a Fate Seal quite a relevant draw now, yeah.
Yeah. I like how he just didn't even flip the JVP because he's like, I don't care, I actually want to loot. Like, looting is good here.
Oh, looting's so good.
Wow. Yeah, the old Fate Seal when your opponent has a fetch land in play. Yeah, so he flips.
Now he gets to Mystical again. Although now I think there's definitely out of...
No, you just dig through time here.
Yeah, it's fair.
Just flashback dig through time.
That's reasonable.
Don't even up it. Just don't go for the J-Salt. Just flashback dig through time. It's... Don't... Oh. Are you looking for the 7? 7. Alright, so...
How many Jaces does it take to win a game?
Yeah.
Which Jace Ultimate will win?
Upping Jaces here feels so bad, right? Like, why up Jace here? Just win the game. Just brainstorm. Yeah. Just brainstorm and dig through time, and you've essentially won the game. Like, when your opponent has a fetch lane, you don't need to Fate Seal them. Don't do it. Unless you play mind games, you Fate Seal and you just snap leave it on top. And then they're like, oh, crack it. And they look at it and it was the All-Boss Will.
I don't think Michael's really got anything that can get out anyway, but I agree.
No, Mentor is a thing that gets out.
When I'm this far ahead, I've already decided I've won this game. I'm not losing.
Yeah.
I refuse to lose.
Yeah, that's right.
And
refuse to lose.
And I don't feel comfortable until I have, like, some amount of
bunch of cards. Yeah, exactly.
At least a drain and a force or something.
Yeah, if you dig there and you brainstorm, you're guaranteed to get a counter spell, and then you counter what they play, or they draw a land, so like the Fate Seal. And then later on you can start Fate Sealing just to make sure.
That's it. If you're running out of win conditions, you go, ugh, Jace is my only win condition left.
Yeah,
I should do that now.
Because people forget to realise that, pack it up. People forget to realise that Jace, the Mind Sculptor, ticking up is you going on a path to a win con that consumes a certain number of turns and it consumes a certain number of cards from your hand. It's saying let's go towards this win con and let's discard a card each turn.
What's it? 5 brainstorms.
Yeah.
5 free brainstorms.
Discard 5 cards in it. So like you only do that when you actually have the ability to discard 5 cards.
That's it.
Whereas if you brainstorm every turn, that is your win con. You're winning the game. As you brainstorm every turn, you just snap brainstorm past turn. Snap brainstorm past turn. Like don't even think too hard about it. Just make sure you got counter spells in hand. Because the turn's probably coming back to you and you're going to brainstorm again. And it's going to come back to you and then brainstorm again.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point is people think, if it is so long, I just want to finish the game. But like reality is, if he's top decking, right, and you're drawing counter spells, you just know you're safe. it's as you say, you just go like brainstorm pass, and you don't need to think too hard about it.
Yeah.
Especially if time's a factor. And let's be honest, we don't always make the ideal play, but if time's a factor, I totally get that. But as Sarv says, just like brainstorm, because it doesn't matter. You put 2 on top, you're gonna just draw them anyway because you're gonna brainstorm anyway. And Michael's not taking a very long turn because he goes, sees a card. Is it good? Yes, play it. Gets counted. Is it bad? No, don't play it. Simple as that. So
pretty much.
Don't feel like these turns are going to go on for ages if you don't alt chase. Because the turns themselves, yes, you'll go through like 5 or 6 turns.
Yeah, but
those turns
fast.
will be 5 seconds long.
That's it.
You can even see how long it takes. Like, time yourself. Be like, I can actually like do a non-thinking brainstorm in 4 seconds.
I'll put away these 2 lands. Go.
Yeah.
I'll brainstorm. I'll put away this land and this Tormod script. Go. Like it's
4 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to know the 2 worst cards in your hand to put back that aren't going to interact with your opponent. Like if it's a sorcery, just put it back. Like just then pass a turn because.
And then wait till you've got 7 cards in hand.
Yeah.
And then.
And you know that he had library out, so if he brainstormed and drew a card for a turn, that's 3 turns. Then he's got library on, so now he's drawing a card off library every turn. Now alt your Jace. Now go work towards the alt because you're always going to have 7 cards in hand for the rest of the game.
That's it.
And that would have only taken a 3-turn investment. But it's a mulligan here, so he's going down to 6. And Michael is keeping. He's on the play. So this, when your opponent is a tempo deck and they keep 7 and they're on the play, I'm scared.
Yeah, I'd be pretty scared if I was Drew here.
Mull to balance.
That's one beautiful thing about Drew's deck, right? He can just go like, Thoughtseize, like Lotus Spin with Thoughtseize, and then turn 2 balance here or something.
Yeah. Can you imagine if he was just like, he's on the draw and he keeps a hand, he mulls to like 4 and keeps a hand of, land mox balance.
Yeah.
And
or just Lotus Thoughtseize balance land, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Thoughtseize Lotus balance land is, not even land, balance Thoughtseize Lotus. He mulls to 3 and Michael
gets
goes
that cheeky
like
strip in.
Oh yeah, Michael just goes like land, Lotus, Mentor, and
that's why you're unbalanced.
Preordain, and then
you're more scared of it,
Ancestor
right?
Recall.
It's very interesting. We were just talking about that. How do I not punt? And that little like, well, I've won the game. Balance actually throws a bit of a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that can just like get right back in it. And you got to be like, I have to keep up counter spells for balance because balance is the only way I lose this game.
Yeah.
So I think balance is a really, really beautiful example in that scenario where you can just be so far behind or for me, I'm so far ahead playing against Drew. And then I'm just like very scared of balance and I'm playing around balance way too much.
True. Make more conservative lines and so on. So this is the decision. Oh, yes.
Yum.
Yes, delicious. So the question is, does Drew have force in hand? Because you snap force this.
Yeah, you want to force that. Because,
it resolves. So that means he probably didn't have force or he's working to a balance. Because once you untap, it's dangerous. And also, once it resolves, it's more dangerous because now he forces whatever you play and makes a token. It's not a scary as Mentor for sure, but it's a creature that is really...
Mentor wouldn't be down yet, would he?
Yeah. He's fast. This guy's fast. So, Drew is thinking about...
Drew's Mind Twist doesn't look as good anymore. So he had a force or he just drew it then?
Yeah, like if this is...
Because there's not really many targets you want to be forcing.
Oh, I think maybe that it wasn't a draw. He's deciding on... This is still on the stack. He was deciding his scry, I think it was. That's why he reached the deck. He didn't go to his turn and drew a card. I think he was deciding his scry. Because he's still deciding on whether or not to force this young Pyro. Maybe we were a bit... Oh, no, okay. Scratch that. Just ignore that whole thing. He let it resolve. He went to his turn, he drew a card, and he's now going, how do I beat young Pyro?
Yeah, I think if he did have force, he probably definitely wanted to force there.
Yes,
probably definitely.
So he must have drawn the force there. There's no way he wouldn't force that.
Yeah, so he's got Jace here, which is decent. Not ideal, though, because Jace...
Yeah, Jace Fin's Prodigy, when he's flipped, and he kind of minuses the young Pyro, and he gets attacked by a couple of 1/1s, he's gaining you life. It's actually quite decent.
It is, but, unless you're drawing a call... He's not really going to negative for anything of too great a value, right? Like,
Yeah.
if he does negative for something,
Yeah.
he's just
He's
going to
gonna-
die the next turn.
That's right. He's just going to plus and buy you time. That's probably his job here. If he's playing it this turn, which I assume that's what he's deciding, whether he keeps open some kind of counter spell. But I don't think you
And
keep
if he
open a
was
counterspell,
keeping
you're
up
gonna be
force...
proactive. Balance.
Oh, okay.
All right. So it's you lose a creature and a card. Is that it? No, because Drew's on the draw. He mulled, but he was on the draw. So it's just not even card. It's
just kill a Pyromancer.
It's just kill Pyromancer. Which, I mean, you're going to snap it off to kill Pyromancer and his tokens anyway, so you may as well snap it off now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Save 2 life.
Dak. Yeah, Dak taking Mox Ruby here would be insane, so you have to force this.
So it's worked out okay for Drew, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
The mulligan into balance.
Yeah. And he's got a library. I mean, he's not going to be in library anytime soon. But yeah, deploying Jace Friends Prodigy here is a real threat. And I think the advantage bar has tipped in Drew Cunning Carter's favour.
Definitely. And obviously Jace will not be a creature forever. The Graph Digger stops at minusing, though. I was just about to say...
That's interesting, yeah. Every
Jace
time we've
minus
seen...
balance.
Yeah, we've seen Graph Diggers and we're like, you wouldn't bring it in here. It's not great. But it's actually shut off Tinker the previous game, and it's shutting off
Well,
Jace
I
Friends
just
Prodigy this
realised,
game.
is that why Drew didn't minus dig through time when we were in game
all
1?
this time.
He had a Graph Diggers out.
Egg on face.
Apologies-
Sorry, guys.
apologies to Drew.
Graph Diggers cage.
That's
That's why it wasn't flashback, of course.
why there was no flashy booze.
Wow, Graph Diggers cage doing so much more work than
It
we had
is.
planned. I'm sorry, neither of us noticed that.
He's a priest? Well, we did notice it.
We noticed it and then we just forgot. We were like,
We
he's so
noticed-
far ahead, just flash back the dig through time.
We noticed it now. Drew, accept our sincerest apologies.
So this is a chalice of some kind of
It's
expedition.
engineered explosive
something or other.
Sarv.
Is it?
Just because you don't
I don't
accept
know
the
what they
art
are.
doesn't mean you
What
haven't
are
seen
they?
it.
It has a counter. It's an artifact from some swanky set.
Well,
So I assume
Sarv.
it's something. Anyway, so he did actually pop it for one to get rid of the Graph Diggers, so he can finally flash something back.
I think it's perfectly reasonable because he goes flashback balance here. Jace is no longer a creature, obviously, so he kills Containment Priest.
He does.
Gets value off Jace.
kill off some lands, but
Yeah.
he loses like 1 or 2 cards. Is that right?
Yeah, but I think
see.
it's fine. Like, you kill the Containment Priest.
Stone Rain once, kill Containment Priest. Like, or do you just minus the Containment Priest? I don't know.
I guess there's no rush to kill the priest if Jace essentially stops the priest.
Yeah. So he's really thinking about that balance. Let's see. So yeah, it would
Depends
be
what he's
balance
got in hand.
for he
he's
discards a
If
card.
he's got Trollop in hand, I guess it won't matter.
Is that a card called? So here we go. Chalice for what? Chalice for 1 should cost 1 more.
It's Chalice
Am I
for
missing something?
half, Sarv. Come on, mate.
Oh, that's right. It's all the
Oh, the
donkeys
unstable,
and
yeah,
those
whatever.
unsets. Yeah. So you can counter little girl when your
kill a
opponent
little girl.
casts 2 little girls in 1 turn off that Tundra.
We're playing Tundra, that's right.
So obviously that 1 additional mana should be tapped. Let's just assume that the library is tapped
yes.
there, and hope that it doesn't become relevant. But this is a response dig through time, and this is 0 cards in hand now for Michael. So obviously that last card there isn't a counter spell.
But there'll
otherwise
be
it'll a snap
good
counter.
cards, which
There'll
makes
be
the
2
balance a
new
bit
good
better,
cards.
won't it?
Yeah, it'll be 2 new good cards.
Mind you, if he does
That's another
balance, then that would be really very relevant re the Chalice.
Yeah, this is interesting. So there's a mentor in that pile, and you take mentor and something to power the mentor, but the problem is the thing to power the mentor should cost 2, not 1. Otherwise, it's going to get countered. So like mental time walk would be insane, but I can't see if there was a time walk in that hand. It's a snap. But mentor's definitely getting taken. It'd just be a pity if it's a preordain.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'll trigger the mentor and I'll also cry at the same time. Let's hope he's not going to flashback balance and cheat here.
No.
Oh no.
So we take back our apology,
little
Drew.
bit of that's right. You forgive us for
the
forgetting
Graph
the
Diggers.
flashback Graph
Yep.
Diggers, and we forgive you for cheating.
Do we?
So
At least he's exiled now.
it was a discard. So lost a volcanic island and discarded a card that's not mentor. Deploys the mentor here, and let's hope that one card in hand is something that triggers a mentor. You know, if it's a Pyroblast, it'd be pretty good. Like, no, it wouldn't. Sorry, I take that back. Pyroblast would not be good in the face of Chalice for one.
Yeah, I guess he just really wants Time Walker.
Yeah, Time Walk would be really good. So, let's see. He's not going to cast it, but he's going to at least bluff it. And Jace, Fringe Prodigy minusing Mentor
It
is
does
quite relevant.
stop Mentor a little bit.
Little, yeah, it's not
Not
irrelevant.
Mentor at his best, but Mentor on a
This
bad
Jace,
day.
though, this is... Yes, Gush was a nice draw
Very nice,
off
very
that.
nice,
yeah. So here's a monk token. I love Michael's custom-made tokens.
Yeah, they're
Pretty
sweet.
I think he was deciding whether or not to play Gush that main phase, and there's definitely worlds where you do play Gush main phase because you can draw another Mox and play the Mox, but his deck doesn't play many Moxen, so...
And he's already got 2 out. Yeah, I think it's a really nice pick. Mentor Gush, obviously.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet. And
I
Jace,
think he accidentally picked up the Emerald, that's what it was. So the Emerald was out, yeah. I'm like, what was going on there? So yeah, his hand is 2 islands, 2
lands,
2 basic
2
islands, 2 not basic
2
islands.
any card. But look,
2 anything else.
Against the face of
Jace's
2
also-
Jaces, it's pretty bad. But
Yeah.
he's got the mana to play a Mentor.
Bounce Jace minus token is pretty good. Hey, bounce Jace, then token becomes a 0/1.
But then the Jaces aren't doing much in terms of getting advantage. So they're sort
They're
of holding
getting
each
tempo.
other.
They're getting tempo.
Yeah, holding each other at bay a little bit.
Yeah.
Mind you could also play the risky one and unsummon the token, which permanently kills it,
Yep, agreed.
and minus the Mentor.
Minus the mentor, and hope he doesn't have 2 prowess triggers
That's
to kill
right.
Jace.
That's right.
Mind Sculptor.
Yeah.
Yep, that's definitely a
And
line.
you can assume he might not, since he's going to tap out for Mentor anyway.
Yep.
And he's already played Gush, so there's not really too many 0 mana spells left.
Hmm.
Because he's not going to be able to force until the next turn.
And Drew is empty-handed now, so,
And that way, at least you keep a check on future tokens piling up.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
a more sustainable sort of way of balancing your Jaces. But, that's a little bit of niche play.
So, I guess it's a deterministic line here. Deploy Mentor, don't attack with your 0/1 past turn.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what's in hand. He could have something sneaky in hand that he wants to
Was Drew Hellbent?
trigger. Drew is Hellbent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I think you just do that then.
so yeah,
You
he's
just get the Mentor down.
play the Mentor now before Drew can draw Force of Will and a blue card.
That's it.
And it's going to keep pressuring the Jason Line Sculptor. which
I mean,
is relevant.
Jace can't do it forever, or he'll die.
Yeah.
And you
So-
get your land drops back.
Alright, so this draw step is going to be critical. It has to be a relevant spell, otherwise he's doing exactly the same. He's running it back again,
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't feel good if he's running it back again. You're going to have 2 Planeswalkers, but then the Jace is going to be on 1, and then the following turn you've got to make a very tough decision.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'd do it maybe one more time.
Yep.
And then I'd brainstorm with Jason and just say, Jace's dead, but I might as well brainstorm.
But I gain the tempo to allow me to pump my Jace Fringe Prodigy at the same time. So yeah, I can see that being the play here. So yeah, run it back.
Because he's not going to die too soon with the Jace Friends out.
Yep.
But hopefully by then he's drawn out.
Yeah, basically, yeah, he doesn't want Michael to untap with lots of mana at his disposal.
Yeah.
Yep, so he's running it back, bounce the dude, minus the token. Oh, maybe he's not. Oh.
I mean, to be fair, if he's going with my play, the one big issue with that is then Michael has mana to cast spells to create new
Yeah,
tokens.
because he can play
which
the
is a big
fourth
factor.
land,
It's
fourth mana source.
to be fair.
True.
But then you're also killing the tokens which get created. So
Yeah, and the one casting cost are counted.
I
as
guess it
well.
depends on how much you're vibing Michael's hand to be.
Yep.
And you already know that it was 2 lands and 2 random cards. So maybe you vibe that it's not that good, but
Yeah.
it's so hard to tell with Vintage, right?
Yeah, the card he drew for the turn was Pearl, and he's opting to brainstorm. So, I think this is a legitimate play, and it's probably better that he does it now because of that. And he gets a fetch land, so he gets to shuffle away the Pearl and the other dead card. And he's really hoping that this one card, and he's probably just going to minus the JVP to flash back nothing. No, there's nothing there.
I was going to say, it's a very different play to start going for that card advantage with both of them.
Yeah. Well, he can't do it because there isn't anything. But I mean, if that last card in his hand is A-Call,
It's so scary.
draw 6.
It's so scary for both of them, right? Because if Drew can't find an answer for Mentor, Mentor's going to win this game.
Yes.
And if Michael can't actually get any swings in on the Jaces, the Jaces are going to win this game.
Yep.
The
game is incredibly close.
It is very, very close. I think
for vintage newbies, when they see this kind of board state, your default position is like, oh, the guy with Jace Mindsculptor is going to win. But it's actually very, very, so down to what that last card in his hand is that he brainstormed. DT.
That's a good one.
This is so good. DT. Oh, wow.
Trigger mental.
Oh, this is savage. And that preordain wasn't doing anything because the chalice.
Very nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
This is like a massive
I think that's
turnaround.
almost a turnaround for Michael, yeah.
Yeah, this is game now because he's going to swing and he's going to kill both Jaces, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's not because Jace Vryn's Prodigy is going to minus Mentor, I guess. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, minus mental. But Jace dies.
Yeah, Jace, the Mind Sculptor dying is relevant. Jace guarantees dies. Jace Mind Sculptor guarantees dies. But if there's a prowess trigger or two here, it's not irrelevant to minus a couple of counters from Jace Telepathy.
Well, I was just about to say that could be relevant because otherwise there's a DT on board and Drew's got Tinker.
Yeah, flashing back DT.
He can flashback DT Tinker.
Yes.
So maybe he actually has to kill Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
Wow, this is interesting, isn't it? Because
my instinct would obviously the same
Tinker
as you.
was pitched, was it? Oh no,
that was last game.
It was the last game.
Yeah, so right. My instinct would always be to kill Jace.
Are you kidding me? This is the line was to attack Jace Vryn's Prodigy.
That was the line.
This is so cool. I can't believe how swingy this game was in the last.
We were both like, oh, Michael's won. But I think if he'd swung at Jace Vryn's Prodigy, then Drew would get that extra brainstorm off a fresh deck.
So you swing at JVP. My! This is insane. So I assume that.
So now he still gets to tinker for something bad.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be a creature.
So for those who haven't had this before,
Lotus or something.
Drew has placed Tinker on the stack, and the
Yes.
only option to respond is now.
Yes.
So you can't respond to when they select Blightsteel Colossus.
So Drew still gets a tinker.
Yeah, he gets
There's
a tinker.
not much left in his deck. So what he's going to have to do is either tinker for something like Sensei's Divining Top.
Yep.
Or just mock Black Lotus and hope to draw and hardcast Platinum Angel. I think that's the line, right?
Yeah. Well, I have sad news for you. He doesn't have top in the deck.
So then we're all in on
Engineered Explosives for 0.
He's got none.
He's gone, isn't it?
He's gone.
Is there anything? Just there's actually nothing unless he brought in something from the graveyard, which there's
Lotus.
Nothing.
Yeah, you get Lotus. And did he not search for anything?
He just didn't search for it.
No, you surely search for Lotus there, and then you can hardcast next turn.
Yeah, I think
because you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 of Lotus is 7. How much is Platinum Angel? 8?
Unless Lotus is gone. But either way, you find a Mox, right? So that you don't draw the Mox.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, that was like 3 turns that were all back to back. Advantage me to 99% one person, 99% the other person, 99% one person.
Yeah, I think Drew should have got Lotus there because there's no Lotus in his bin.
Yeah, and just hardcast Platinum Angel.
And hardcast Platinum Angel is legitimate. I think Platinum Angel is either 7 or 8, but you can either hardcast it legitimately or just like land drop and then hardcast it.
Yep.
And that is like Michael's going to really struggle to deal with that. Michael needs fragmentizers, which I doubt he would have started in.
And he probably does. He keeps in like a Swords to Plowshares or something, but he's. Yeah, Containment Priest turns off the... Wow. That was such a cool game.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so he had Mystical.
But this balance is
and
gone.
Swords to Plowshares.
Balance is exiled.
Yeah, he couldn't actually cast his own Swords to Plowshares and Mystical through the Chalice. That is interesting. Well, I hope you enjoyed that match.
That was a good match.
Yeah, great one. And let's be back with the next round. And thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.